Homecoming week, greenest week of the year. Wrap us on the week that was at Kentucky and turn our attention now to the Raging Cajuns for homecoming.
Yes, the locker room after the game, a mixture of frustration, disappointment, and then we all felt as though that there were like tangible positives. Played a good football team and certainly didn't back down. Got off to an awful start, and had to try to climb out of the hole there, and so it was tough. But we definitely made improvements, and so we come out of that week, knowing that we can continue to get better. And at the same time, we went down there to win, so it was frustrating. So. But we're ready for homecoming and getting ready, for Louisiana, another big game.
Tom, you want to start us off?
Sure, Coach. When you talk about tangible positives that the team was kind of reflecting on, could you go a little more into detail what you felt went well in that game?
We turned the ball over. We've turned it over, one time now in 3 games, which isn't perfect, but pretty close. Although I don't think the SEC network ever showed a replay of that phenomenal interception on the first play, which they, returned and almost scored on, which I've never heard of, never showing a replay of such a fantastic play. May or may not have been pass interference. But the positives, we had 461 yards against a good defense. Pretty good balance, rushed the ball for 130 and threw the ball for 330. Had 2 3-and-outs at the beginning of the half. Outside of that, I talked to you about just our P&10 and our first downs, about getting those 4+ yards and getting moving. We felt good about that. Our bright spot special teams is Rudy. Those weren't chip shot field goals, and to go into that environment, was in his first year and hit 3 field goals. We felt really good about that. And then defensively, we had that specific plan, for Kentucky, and we thought guys were flying around and still missed tackles. Again, Kentucky had a lot to do with that. Those were some pretty good backs. But the 4th down stop, we saw some complimentary football there at the end of the half, went and scored, got the 4th down stop. We're able to score again. Had our hands on the ball, didn't take it away, so that's something that still needs to break open. We played some new people in different spots, with that plan versus Kentucky, and thought there were some positives.
Coach, how hard is it to keep playing catch-up? You guys have not led in a game this season, and how difficult is that to always, at some point, be behind? And does that change anything for you guys over the course of the game when you've got to get caught up?
Yeah, I mean, it early, it doesn't really affect, right? I mean, you don't want to be behind, but in the first quarter, you're not playing. You don't feel as though you're playing catch up with how you're calling the game and whatnot. But obviously, as the game bleeds into the second half and the clock is ticking, it certainly has an impact on how you call the game. We wanted to start fast, and it couldn't have gone worse, on that first play. I'm sure you saw the replay on the network.
Yeah, I mean, it was a quirky play, and I know it was a rough start for you guys. I thought it was great how you guys finished the first half. Were you frustrated you couldn't get that momentum going in the second half? Because you guys scored 10 points in 1:33 there, and there was this kind of, you could see the boost of energy on the sidelines, but for some reason you just couldn't get it to carry over in the second half.
Yeah, again, our two 3-and-outs of the whole game were in the beginning of the second half. So yes, is the answer. That is frustrating. Obviously, that's not what we had set out to do. I mean, our D got to stop, and we wanted to keep the momentum going. I mean, it was the halftime. The juice, the energy, the belief, was really good with the way that we had finished the first half. And then our offense got going again, but just, those first 2 3-and-outs made it tough.
Last question for me, and I know we'll hear from Dontae McMillen later on in this press conference, but can you talk about what he went through mentally and physically after that injury last year at Washington to get back to where he is now and be a primary running back in this offense?
Yeah, probably not as well as he can, but I know that it all means for everyone, these seasons and these opportunities mean a ton. Dontae gave his senior share, on Friday night down in Lexington. And when I reintroduced him to the team, one of the things that I failed to say, but I had said it to him afterwards, is that one of his many just awesome characteristics is he is who he is. He doesn't have a deceptive bone in his body. I mean, what he says and how he acts he's very transparent. And I mean that in an incredibly positive way. And it was the Friday night, we're just walking the field down at Texas State, and people were getting back on the bus, and I was out there on the field with Dontae and Tavi. And he just kind of had a moment, where he was expressing really what you're asking. I mean, how long and difficult it had been since game 2 of last year, and how hard he's worked, and how badly, he wants this season. And I mean, there was, I don't know, I mean, just a little bit of anger, right? I mean, and Tavi and I were both like, whoa, because it was real. It was not talk. I mean, it was just his inside, his feelings, coming out just in a kind of a random, moment on the field before we got back on the bus to go to the hotel. And so I say all that to answer your question. It just, he's worked incredibly hard. He's from Seattle. So we go to Seattle, and then early in the game, he breaks his leg and was off to a great start. Hadn't anticipated, obviously playing this year because he would have been out of eligibility and all that. So it means a ton to him. And he's certainly taken advantage of every minute of the time we're together.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep.
Hey, Coach, Rob Rubik here. Coach, you touched on 460 yards offense. What do you attribute the change, the success that you had against Kentucky, where at times in your previous games you had struggles offensively?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was really the second game. We felt pretty good offensively coming out of the first game, and then this third game, again, far from perfect. So I don't look at it like we just kind of got untracked for the first time, offensively. Our guys, stayed within our game plan. Again, we want to have a good mix, the run and pass. I think Noah's doing a really good job of executing and making good decisions. I think his read rate, was 92% this last week. I mean, there's a lot of decisions being made on every play, and for him to be at 92%, I think is, exceptional. So yeah, I mean, we turned the ball over, like I said, and hadn't in the first 2, but just short of our explosive goals, but have had some explosive plays. And I think we're at 13% on our 12% rule. So, and we've been like under our 12% rule, in terms of sacks and penalties, drops, and turnovers. So been playing pretty clean football. So we're hoping that we're going to continue to improve even more.
You touched on Noah a little bit. Do you feel he's improving every game, Coach? Do you see growth?
Yeah. We do. I think he's I think he's been comfortable all the way through, but, to actually get out there and doing it and making the plays, he's definitely stayed within himself. He's having fun. I think he's seeing things really well. We're super excited about him and think he's going to continue to get better.
All right, let's look ahead to this weekend. You have Lafayette coming in. This is a team that's going to ground and pound. You any tweaks? Obviously I don't want you to give me detail because we don't want it to get out, but is it a different mindset going in when you play a team, kind of like the academies? They don't run the same type of offense, but they're going to run it 90% of the time.
Well, it's a good question, but Kentucky, that was the same situation with Kentucky, right? Both teams are rushing about 200 yards a game, and big, experienced, tough, physical offensive linemen. And then again, this is another week where you've got two really productive physical backs. So the weeks aren't going to be the same, but they'll be similar in that they're definitely going to want to run the football. That's what they already do. And then, we've been giving up, yards rushing. And so they're certainly going to test us in that way. And so that's what we'll prepare for.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep.
Andrew?
Yeah, kind of related to that running question, and after the bad start Saturday, it looked like the defense really kind of clicked into I know the first couple weeks it was kind of missed assignments, missed gaps, and it seems like they really started to like you said, hit their assignments, fly around, and the problems from kind of the second quarter onward were more to do with Kentucky being good than you guys making mistakes. I guess what progress did you see from the defense, even in, the counting stats don't look good, but it did look like something kind of came along there in the second quarter and then the second half.
Yeah, it's kind of maybe weird to say, but I think our confidence grew in the way that we were playing and how we were playing. Some just really good energy. Just our whole team felt it with how our guys were filling gaps and rushing to the line of scrimmage, right, and fitting things right. So we still missed way too many tackles. They didn't throw the ball a ton. When they did, they were really accurate. Right, there were some contested catches and really good cover that they still executed on. And so, to your point, it wasn't like some kind of blown assignment. We got picked a couple times. We got our eyes in the wrong place on some of the throwbacks that felt more that way. But I think otherwise that they executed really well. So we gained some confidence. And again, we had a little bit of a different plan for Kentucky that the guys, really bought into. We practiced really well. And so some guys were in different spots than they'll normally be. But we feel as though overall, that it gave us a chance.
Do you think that confidence that, maybe they just kind of needed to have a series or two where they go out, just some things go right, they make some plays, it's just because they just kind of been gashed, it's just kind of hard to feel like you can pull it out of nowhere, making some stops, making defensive plays. Do you think they just kind of needed to feel it, see it, do it, and then you can kind of model that and kind of carry it forward?
I think that yes is the answer. I think it's a microcosm of our team. Like you said, we've been behind. We've not made some major plays defensively in terms of takeaways or sacks. On the quarterback, big TFLs, and so. But I think that's a microcosm of our team. I think that when we get some complementary football, good things going, just as a team, I think there's going to be an explosion of good and positive momentum. I'm gonna tell you, and this is, you take it however you want. Like, our football team, we are in good shape. Like, I'm just telling you. I mean, it is right there for us. Our guys are all in. We're together. And we haven't, those moments, they haven't happened yet, but they're going to. And when they do, things aren't going to be perfect, by any means, but, some positive momentum and complementary football and all that can go a long, long way. So we have the pieces, and so we're staying on it, man.
Probably supercharges or gets even more going with a win, I would imagine.
Yeah, well, that ends up being a byproduct of all those other things, coming together. Yeah, so, there's going to be there's a lot of good in store, and we're going to keep pounding until those things start happening, and then when those things start happening, you know what I mean, we're going to continue to pound and keep getting better.
TC?
Sure. Coach, you talked about them defensively, Louisiana, that is, testing against the run. And I was thinking about them in terms of when they run the football, are you concerned about their big play capability? Because they didn't have a ton of success against Mizzou, but they were able to rip off some big plays.
Yeah, so explosives, especially mega explosives, is something we've talked about defensively since January, right? So everybody's got their number. If it's a plus 10-yard run or plus 15-yard pass, you can put that in the explosive category. And there's a lot of statistical, research has been done that, if you get an explosive on a series, you got a really good chance you're scoring. If you get two on a series, you're absolutely scoring, and so on and so on. And there is a difference, right, between an 11-yard run and a 72-yard run. There's a difference between, an 18-yard pass, which is still an explosive pass, right, and a 78-yard screen or post or whatever that goes for 6. And we've given up, like LIU, we gave up some mega explosives. And we certainly have to prevent that from happening. Their ground game can certainly create explosives. So I don't know exactly what you're asking with that, but they're going to run the football, and they're gonna try to wear you down. It's an experience. I don't have a bunch of transfers. They have guys who've been in their program, played for a conference championship last year, that know what they're doing. They're older, play well together, and a group of tight ends that are good at what they do, and then again 2 backs that we think are really good. And so I think that but I don't think they're gonna be frustrated if they don't have 30-yard runs every play. I think, if they're getting 4, 5, and 6 yards on the ground and moving chains that way, I think that they'll feel really good about their chances.
Well, what I was really piggybacking on Tom's question was, you get behind, and I was thinking more along the lines of what are you going to try and do to try and limit that big play capability? What can you do to try and limit that? You brought up you had eyes in the wrong place on a certain place. I thought that first play of the game was flukish a little bit, right? That could be just bad luck. But I'm really just looking at how are you trying to tweak the strategy defensively so that they don't have that big play. They're not able to rip off that big ground game, and they have to go to their more frustrating pass play, which didn't have nearly as much success.
Yeah. So if you play man, then you can put, more hats in the box to help with the run, right? But when you play man, there's a lot of backs turned and eyes not on the ball. So there's some give and take there. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, and so it's that ratio that you've dipped into that I'm really looking at.
Yeah,
Where your
right.
defensive strategy.
Right. So when you're playing zone, you may have less hats in the box, but you've got eyes on the ball. And so, right, there's give and take with that. And so we will continue to mix those two things up, playing both man and zone. I'll tell you.
Is there a package you had against Kentucky that you thought did really well that you say, hey, look, this is maybe where our bread and butter lies?
Yeah, like I said, we had a plan that was different than what we had done previous against Kentucky. I don't know if you could tell the difference or not, but Louisiana will definitely have seen that. So we're gonna learn from that for sure, and we'll see where that takes us.
There's one other question I have, and this is really one that I got a lot from the fan base. And no judgment on it at all. You've gone for it deep in your own end late in the game twice the last 2 weeks. And a lot of people don't understand, well, that might be merely time and score, right, making a decision. It might be that you're looking at the clock and you say, hey, I might not have enough possessions to do what I need to do. So we have to go for it here. Or it could just be a byproduct of, our defense has been on the field too much. We have to take this chance. Could you walk us through what that decision-making looks like in real time so that people understand that when you make this decision, there's more to it than just, I'm going to go for it?
Yeah, it's all of those things, right? It's the flow of the game. It's how our offense and defense are both playing. It's the score. It's time of the game in terms of possessions. I mean, all of those things. We've got the book just like all of America does, which sometimes fan bases or just the public don't understand. That the book is very aggressive. It's very aggressive. But what the book, doesn't know, and admittedly so on their part, is they don't know how the game is going, right? They don't know about if you feel good about your 4th and 2 call or whatnot. And so I always get the information, the statistical information about, whether we should take a calculated risk or not, but we don't just do what the book says. I take all of those factors, and we go into going down to Kentucky, and we're down 7-0 early. We could have kicked the field goal when we were down in their end to get points on the board. It was 4th and 2.5, and if we're going to end up beating Kentucky at Kentucky, then you're going to have to end up, converting on those and making plays. So, right, later in the game, we kicked some field goals and feel good about that, but, definitely want to be aggressive in their own end on that first drive. So I don't know which specific instances you're talking about, but that would just be kind of the general philosophy.
And absolutely, and sometimes you want to make your team know that, hey, I'm willing to put it on the line right here because I believe in you. There's always that piece too.
No doubt.
Caleb?
I appreciate.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Coach, one of the major positives from Kentucky was Rudy Kessinger hitting 3 of his 4 field goals, 2 freshmen in an SEC environment. He's only missed 1 kick all season, a 55-yarder. How would you say it changes your mindset going into a game knowing you have a kicker that's been this automatic thus far?
Yeah, it's a huge weapon. You know, it's a huge weapon. Most of the time, you're starting with the ball on the 25-yard line. And so, you know, 2 first downs, right? The field is flipped, and we can get into going for it on 4th down. We can try to pin them down. You know, you're starting to get on the fringe of scoring points with our field goal kicker. And so it's a huge weapon. And, you know, we're not surprised, but at the same time, doing it for the first time, you know, it's awesome to see him, you know, starting out so strong. So everyone's excited for him and, you know, believes in him. And he'll be the first to tell you that the snap, the hold, and protection matters too. But he's got an important job, and he's killing it.
Looking on the defensive side of the ball, you're one of the few teams in the country to not force a turnover through the first 3 weeks. Would you say there's an emphasis on defense and trying to punch the ball out and go for interceptions, or are you kind of staying the course and trusting that the turnovers will come?
Yeah, I don't. In 35 years, I don't know this, but I don't think I've gone ever the first 3 games without taking the ball away. I'm sure there's been a 3-game stretch, you know, in a season or whatever, but again, we work on it and talk about it in an obsessive sort of way. You know, we had a couple of opportunities this last week and didn't come up with the ball. And so it's nearly impossible to be doing more in that area. It's going to happen. We just got to keep on working, you know, the fundamentals and to have the mindset, right, of being ball aware. And for those who've never played defense before, I mean, it's so reactionary what you're doing, right? The offense gets to determine when the ball's snapped, gets to determine the formations, gets to determine the plays, you know, all of those things. And so you have to be assignment sound, right? And that so often is where your mind is at. And you have your read keys, right? So your mind is reading and locked into your assignment. And then all of a sudden, the ball shows up, right? And so when a defense is surprised, you know, you're less likely to be good at taking the ball away. But when you can be assignment sound, reading your keys, and still always aware of the ball, you have much more of a tendency, you know, to take it away. And again, I feel as though we can always become more and more ball aware as the bullets are flying. But I really don't believe that the season stat line is going to end the way that it started in terms of our defensive takeaways. And I look forward to the day when I get to say, I told you so.
And lastly, being that it's homecoming week, you're on a 4-game win streak in homecoming. Is this a game that you circle on your calendar each year, or do you treat it like any other matchup?
Yeah, so we've got 12 games on the schedule, and you know, this will be the 4th one that's been circled. And when we get to next week, there'll be 5. And so we definitely are circling this game. It's a big one.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep.
Coach, you talked about a couple of new people in new positions, including Barry Manning. Talk to me about him and how he did at Kentucky.
Yeah, he's such a good football player. I get to coach him on the right side of punt, and he's instinctive. And, you know, we're just talking about being ball aware. You know, some guys just sort of get football. And I put Barry in that category. You know, so he's a guy that, you know, is a safety, you know, that we were able to move down to play a linebacker position with 3 practices. And he did pretty darn well, you know. And, you know, he's not a 230-pound, you know, linebacker. He's a safety. So again, our Kentucky plan was our Kentucky plan, but he is somebody, you know, that just has that ability.
Appreciate your time, Coach.
Sure. Dontae, I just have one question for you, and it's what I asked Coach earlier, and it's about what you've gone through in the last year after breaking your leg at home against Washington, and then what that recovery process has been like mentally and physically, and if you could expand a little bit on what Coach Creighton was talking about as you're walking on the field at Texas State with Tavi and him, and kind of the emotions you had in that moment.
Okay. Well, honestly, during that process, like when I got hurt last year, like I felt I let myself down, let my family down, let the team down, you know, because honestly, I didn't want to like get hurt, but it's a game of football, so that's what comes with the consequences. And so, for me, it was really hard for me mentally to gain confidence back, you know, not being able to walk and just not being able to play with my brothers on the field, you know, and just during that process of me like just recovering and everything, it was really a hard battle. It's like probably one of the toughest battles I ever had in my life, you know, because this is my first injury in my whole career, you know, 'cause I'm really durable, you know, and so me just come back on the field, man, just really means a lot, you know, because every game is important to me. I didn't play a lot last year, and telling Coach Creighton that I take the state because I had so much anger inside myself, you know what I'm saying? And I really had something to prove, you know, and that's what I'm going to continue to do.
Dontae, do you feel you're 100%? I mean, I played for a lot of years, had a lot of major injuries. And coming back, it's always a mental thing too. In your head right now, are you like brand new?
Honestly, like what do you mean brand new? Like you're saying
Well,
like.
do you think about it at all, or you just you put it behind you and you moved on? And this is what you are. This is your body. And I have no concerns at all. I'm just gonna play.
Yeah, I have no concerns because I really gain confidence now, and so like when I play, I don't think about my ankle. Like I let my instincts take over, and that's just how I am as a running back. Like everything's so instinctive, and so for me, I'm on the field. I just really be dialed in, locked in, and just showing my true potential. You know.
Well, we're lucky to have you. You're tough, really good running back. We appreciate you.
Appreciate you too.
Andrew?
Yeah, I kind of want to ask about, Coach said the defensive plan for Kentucky was a little bit different, and I'm kind of curious what you saw during the week about like what you kind of noticed, and it seemed like, I mean, again, like you're playing an SEC team, the counting stats might not have been great, but it looked like they kind of found something. I guess I'm kind of curious what you felt in the week of practice leading up. You know, I know you're going against the scout team mostly, but just what you kind of saw from them going against the ones.
Honestly, our preparation, I feel like it went good. You know, our scout team's really great. They gave us the best looks as possible as they can, you know, and that's what really matters. And honestly, like, I think even though, like, we lost, but at the same time, I feel like our preparation was really great, you know, and that's all I can really say for real, you know, because at the end of the day, it's practice, and we got to just work hard and just understand our assignments as players, you know, and the coach's game planning. It's really just trust, you know, and so, yeah.
And Coach was saying, yeah, he kind of said take it whatever you want, but I think he's kind of speaking of like, he said you guys are good, like you're feeling good about things, like you're 0-3, but like you've been playing better probably now last week than you have all season, and that like it's sort of like you're right on the precipice, like you guys are kind of like the day up ready to break, and once it does, like you guys still feel like there's a very good football team now, lots of movement people haven't seen. Is that kind of the vibe?
Yeah, because honestly, we are a great football team. And honestly, like even though we don't let the record determine us as a team. Like we're a great team, you know, and we just need to finish. But at the same time, though, like a record's not gonna just, how do I say this? We're gonna let a record just like basically let the story like write for itself. You know what I'm saying? Because we still got a lot to improve on. And honestly, I have faith in my team. Like the running back room is great, the O-line room is great. Like everybody on this team is great, and so that's what really matters, honestly.
TC?
So, when you're out in the moment, and you know the last 3 weeks, you're always coming off the field and not having the success that you probably want to have and need to have. Talk a little bit about the strategy now going forward in the room and practice to get off to a better start. Maybe put a couple possessions together that gets points, even if they're field goals, and maybe take the pressure off that defense and get into a competitive situation where you're not fighting uphill.
So are you like asking like team-wise, or just asking me about me individually?
I'm talking team-wise. I'm really interested in what's going on in the room, how that sideline feels, because as you know, the emotion of the game is a really big part of winning and losing.
Honestly, I don't know. Like, that's kind of a hard question for me, honestly, because I mean that we're all on the sideline just having high energy, positive energy. Because like at the same time, everything in the game of football, everything's not gonna go our way. It's how way we just handle it. It's called adversity for a reason. You know what I'm saying? And so honestly, like as long as we just keep on making plays, like when it counts, and just finishing, then we're honestly gonna be good. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thanks.
Dontae, you lead the team in rushing this year by a pretty wide margin. What does it feel like to be a focal point of the offense that's been playing pretty well so far through the first 3 weeks?
Honestly, man, like it feels good because just me playing 7 years of college football, like I always want to just be. I'm not really a vocal guy. I'm a vocal guy like when I'm in action, but honestly, I just try to just really just be a positive asset, because I don't like to ever see my teammates' heads down and everything. I always tell them keep your heads up. It's a part of the game. Like everything's not gonna go our way. Like if we make a bad play, take a one on approach. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, and there's also other vocal leaders on there too, like Noah Kim, like he's a great leader, as a quarterback, you know what I'm saying? Like me and his relationship is good, and just Terry Lockett. Like I just feel like all the leaders on the offense is doing their job and we're continuing to get better.
What would you say are some of the positive and negative takeaways of your performance thus far through the first 3 games?
My positive performance, I'm just a player who has grit. Like when I'm on the field, man, I always want to just give it my all, my 100%, because that's just who I am as a player. I always want to be a hard worker. And honestly, negatives, I mean, I make mistakes in the game sometimes, but I don't let that like affect me like mentally or anything. Because at the same time, like I'm not always gonna be perfect 100%. It's all about how I'm gonna bounce back from that next play.
Thank you, Dontae.
Appreciate you, man.
One final question for you. You got the mic in front of you. It's homecoming weekend. What's your message for the fans? Why should they be out here in their green supporting the Eagles this Saturday?
Man, honestly, I'm excited too because it's my first homecoming game, since this last year just getting hurt, and I just want to tell all the Eagle fans out there, man, just pull up, be loud, and just really get active, so that's all I really have to say for real.